Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Heart Pirates TCG here, and I'm coming at you today with a tier list just based on the halfway point of OPO1. We have OPO2 coming right around the corner. In a couple months, we're gonna have that release, but right before the Treasure Cup, we have these decks that I would just kind of want to assess, and we'll determine if we're gonna see a lot of them during the Treasure Cup. And then after the Treasure Cup, we'll reassess and see where the metagame really is. But this is just my interpretation of it. So we'll go ahead and get started with some of the categories. Obviously, meta, you pretty much know who's in meta, right? You have meta contenders, catch you slipping, not your time yet, bro, and just stop. So spoiler alert, there will be at least one in every one of these categories. So to start off the tier list, I want to go with Blue Croc is just not your time yet, bro. The reason I say this is because all the other leaders minus one other leader actually do things early on that can give you advantage, and Blue Crocodile just can't do that. Yes, he has 5 life, which is good, but Dawn minusing 4, you can't even really do that until you're 10 Dawn in, and even when you do that, you're like, damn, like that's a very, very expensive power to just return something to the hand. It just isn't that good, it just isn't that good. It can be in certain situations, but not enough to catch you slipping, not enough to catch you slipping. And I just don't think that it's as good as people that believe in the deck want it to be. There's a lot of Blue Crocodile zealots. It's just not your time yet, bro. Catch you slipping, Red Luffy. And the reason I'm going to say this is we've seen a whole lot of people top recently at these events with Red Luffy as opposed to Red Zoro, and that's because they're caught slipping, right? The whole point of him, the Red Luffy, is to essentially play with 11 Dawn, right? Sometimes 12 if you can have the Nami out, and that is technically an advantage. But how many times is that one Dawn actually gonna do something super meaningful, right? How many times is if you're like, oh, if I had 1,000 extra power, that game would have been mine? It's just not the case, guys. It's not the case. It can catch you slipping, don't get me wrong. It just isn't meta. It's just not. Rush Zoro is obviously meta. It's the same amount of life as Rush Luffy, but his power is just better. 1 Dawn on the leader, which you're gonna be basically putting one on him anyway to swing, at least one, gives everyone else 1,000 power, right? That's pretty much 5 extra Dawn per turn. So I don't understand why the Rush Luffy is actually good, or the Red Luffy is actually good. Rush Zoro actually has merit, and you'll see a lot of these in top cuts just because the deck is very consistent. It's very powerful. If they mess up a couple times, they don't draw the blockers, they just win the game. So obviously you're going to see a lot of these in the top cuts, so it's obviously meta. Another one that's obviously meta is Doflamingo. Doflamingo, guys, is a crazy good leader. The fact that he can play the Love Mellows to get the draws, he can play the Pacifista engine, he can summon the Pacifistas off the top of his deck, like, or not really the Pacifistas, but Kuma, and then Kuma can summon the Pacifistas, and all this stuff, like the whole engine with blue is really strong, and it can swarm the field. It can do a whole lot of like annoying stuff. It has a great matchup against red, it has a great matchup against purple, it has an okay matchup against green. Usually, I mean, it's an okay matchup. It's not the best, but it's still pretty good against the other ones, so I think this deck is fantastic, and with the right pilot, you can definitely see a couple of these winning tournaments, big tournaments, especially if they draw well too. So they're obviously meta. Catch you slipping as well, we're gonna have to go with Odin. Guys, Odin is so good. Odin is so good. With like Kinemon, you can like summon an Okiku, and then you can swing with Okiku, and then rest a character. You can kill that with Kinemon, and then unrest your Okiku and swing again. And guys, like the board control this deck has is insane. All you have to do is discard 1 Land of Wano card, which almost your entire deck is Land of Wano cards, and you get two active Dawn. That's just really strong, guys. So essentially you're playing with 12 with 12 Dawn per turn, and you can have very strong control of the field. The only bad matchup this has really is against purple, because purple can just like wipe their whole board. But if they can actually get control of the board with the Okikus and everything and swing for big damage early on, which they definitely do, that can be a toss-up with that for sure. This has a really good matchup against Doflamingo too, so this can definitely catch you slipping, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw a couple of these in the top cut at the Treasure Cup, you know? So be on the lookout for that. The next we're going to talk about my baby, the blue purple crocodile. Guys, I may be biased here, but we're putting it at meta contender. We're putting it at meta contender. You want to know why we're doing that? Is because it has no bad matchups inherently, right? We have a fantastic blue and green matchup. So our blue and green matchups, I hardly lose to blue or green. Now, I definitely can lose, obviously. This is a very skillful game, and sometimes a player can just play better, or they can draw better, you know? So it's not a guarantee, but this deck can, all you need to do is Dawn 1, right? So you're going to be doing that pretty much all the time. In every event or once per turn, an event you play, you draw a card, right? So you're drawing 10 to 15 cards a game, and it's so good. It's so good. You have infinite resources. The only thing that can stop blue purple Kaido, or not blue purple Kaido, blue purple Croc, is if you get rushed by Zoro and you don't have any of the who's to really counteract the aggression, or if purple just draws so well, you know, and I'm talking really well. They have to draw the Onigashima, they have to have like the kings when they need them, they have to have the 9-drop Kaido when they need them, the 10-drop. That's the only thing that really beats this deck. So I think that is a strong meta contender. It has a very high skill ceiling. It also has a very low floor. So that's the reason you don't see a lot more of these, and a lot of builds are kind of weird, which I talked about on my deck profile. Be sure to check that out later. Next, we're going to go blue-purple Kaido. Guys, this is another one that actually, man, is it catch you slipping or is it a meta contender? we're gonna go meta contender here as well, because you want to know why is anytime this kills something, or once per turn when this kills something, you ramp up a Dawn, and you can play Onigashima Island, and you can play the 10-drop Kaido since he is a beast pirate. When you can get 10 Dawn on like turn 3, like, guys, that's really good. I mean, everyone else is playing with 5 or 6 Dawn, and you have it at turn 3 or 4, you know? So it's really strong, especially, I mean, you can block. It's the same with the blue purple crocodile. It's just a little bit different. You're not going to get card advantage, you're going to get Dawn advantage, which is something that is very good in this game as well, which is why Zoro is so good. But that Dawn advantage, you can build early aggression, and some people just can't stop it, and you can just beat people down and beat people down and beat people down. So we're gonna go meta contender here. I think it's stronger than catch you slipping, because I've seen really good builds for this, and there's a guy at my locals who actually topped with this, and he's a good player. So he strongly believes in this deck. Then we're gonna go purple Kaido. Guys, purple Kaido is obviously meta. This deck, you're gonna see a lot of these in top cut, just because it's so it's just purple Kaido, guys. I mean, the fact that you can just remove 7 Dawn and then just take a life from someone, it makes closing out games so much easier. Like, late game, there's almost no deck can beat this late game, which is why it's so good. You know, if you can get to the point where you stabilize and you have 3 life left and you're at 10 Dawn, you win the game. Like, it's very rare you win the game. The only other deck that does that is actually Green Kid, which I actually don't see. I have to add him on here for some reason. It didn't load. But Green Kid, and he is obviously stronger. Like, his big drops are better than Green Kid's 8-drop Kid. So he's obviously meta. Here, let me go ahead and add that Green Kid on here now that I see that, and then we'll continue the video. All right, so now that I already added Kid, we'll go ahead and talk about Kid. Obviously meta. I mean, he's winning almost every tournament right now. He's very strong, guys. His ability to drop that 8-drop Kid, if he can stabilize that, like, if you can't kill it that turn, he's going to stabilize and pretty much win every game. I mean, he's very strong. He can attack twice. He can threaten your life. I mean, he's a very strong leader, and I mean, probably the best right now. I mean, probably the best leader. Obviously meta. You're going to see a lot of these at the Treasure Cup, so be on the lookout for that. Then we're gonna have Just Stop as just Purple King. Guys, just stop with it. Like, he is he's so bad. He's so bad. So if you have 8 or more Dawn, all the other people lose. All the other characters, I'm pretty sure, lose 1000 attack, which is it's just like nothing, right? It's just like a worse version of Rush Zoro. So if you win with him, I mean, you're just you're a really good player. So now this isn't obviously meta. I just think it's a meta contender. Is Red Green Law. This, because of the 4 life. Wow, that's actually crazy that all the 4 cost, you know, characters are in meta contenders, or 4 cost leaders. He's a meta contender because he's not as consistent as the other decks, and you have to have more. You have to combo a little bit more with him. Now, he does have access to the rush cards and the green kid, which is good, but to get them out, you really have to balance it very well, and with the extra life makes it a little tough sometimes because you have to take hits eventually because you're green, you know. Definitely a meta contender for sure. He's just not obviously meta. He's definitely going to top some events because he's meta contender, but you have to get really lucky throughout the whole tournament to really win the game with him, because there's just a lot of things that can stop him, just taking early aggression, not being able to stabilize, not seeing your rush cards. So he's a meta contender. He's not the best, but he's definitely really strong. Guys, next is Red Green Luffy. This card will catch you slipping. This leader will catch you slipping, and because people underestimate, oh, he has 4 life. He has the same access to Law. I think his power is a little bit better than Law's though, entirely, and it's debatable, right? But it's 4 Dawn as opposed to, I believe this is 3 Dawn with Red Green Law, but it's 4 Dawn, and you turn one of your supernovas or straw hats back up, so you untap them, and what you can do is you can put you can play Yamato in here, which isn't going to work because she's not a supernova, but you can play Yamato in here for double strike. But there's also a killer that has double strike too, that you put, you know, let's say you put 3 Dawn on him, and then you attack, and then you turn him back up with Luffy, and then he gains 1,000, so now he has 8,000 attack, and he's always threatening double strike. So like he can actually do some really good things, and he can play just as well as Red Green Law. It just costs a little bit more, but his potential is a little bit higher in my opinion, because he's always threatening more damage than this Law right here. This Law, like Red Green Law, is all about like kind of stalling and, you know, like controlling the field. Luffy does that too, but he just has a little bit more oomph, you know, like you're a little bit more scared of Luffy because you know he's trying to like kill you quickly, as opposed to Law, who's like more of a slower game. So yeah, so that's my tier list, guys. Let me know what you think. If you have any, you know, objections, let me know. Some people are gonna be really mad what I did to Crocodile and King, but if you guys disagree, let me know. I'm gonna be making these, you know, throughout the year, so throughout all the sets. So I'm super excited to just keep, you know, voicing my opinion, what I see in the metagame, because I'm a pretty good player, I would say. I'm definitely not bad by any means. So I've watched a lot of competitive people play. I've talked to a lot of people that are actually pretty good at the game, and just kind of gathered their thoughts. So I'm just kind of basing it off of the smart people that I've talked to and my own opinion. So let me know if you guys have any disagreements, but have a fantastic day.